On Twitter, like 2 days ago, Christian Harloff, the guy with like Collider Movie Talk and Jedi Council, hits up Ryan Johnson and is asking him about how they're doing Snoke for Episode 8. Did you guys see this?
No.
Okay, so it's like he's asking for a clarification on whether or not it should be, is it motion capture or is it performance capture? So like, you know what that is, right? So like performance is like the body, but motion's like the body, but performance is also like the facial recognition stuff. Wasn't it like 4 months ago we were talking about how they're going to build this practical effect, how it's all going to be practical and it's going to be fantastic?
An 8-foot-tall statue, like figurine.
Yeah.
I want Andy Serkis to do it because I love everything Andy Serkis does.
Well, I feel like you have Andy Serkis to do exactly. I mean, I'm not trying to get mad. Like, I'm happy, obviously, because now we know it's going to be. Yeah, it's going to be. Yeah, oh. And that's the whole point. Is like that's why they were asking for clarification. So we know it's going to be Andy Serkis. We're going to get that performance capture. I think.
When is Andy Serkis going to get an Academy Award?
I'm hoping for Last Jedi. How nuts would that be?
That's not going to happen.
He's kind of led the way on that.
Well, and you've never really had a Star Wars actor get any kind of credit for their acting role. And I still, Ian McDiarmid's performance as the Emperor is the most underrated, unappreciated role in Star Wars. And that's my opinion. But Andy Serkis coming in here and knowing that...
Was he seriously doing it? Because I was just like throwing out a name.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Hi there, and welcome into Beyond the Blast Doors, a Star Wars podcast, a podcast made by fans for fans. Episode 12. That's how far we've gotten, and we've gotten this far with these two guys, plus Nick Stewart. But Nick Stewart is still in Canada. Jesse Buck, you were battling allergy issues, but you're back with us. How are you feeling?
Well, a little bit better. We're getting there. We'll expect a full recovery by next week.
You look great, and as always, we have the helmet.
That distracts from how horrible I probably actually do look. So
we're excited to have you back. It was just David and I last week. Had a really good time with it, but it's always fun to start getting that full panel back. David, how are you doing?
By the time people are watching this, I'll be in Alaska, so I really don't care what you think. I'm having a great time.
Well, there we go. I guess that kind of tells you where we're all standing at this moment. Before we get started, I want to make sure that you give this video a thumbs up and also hit that red subscribe button at the bottom right corner of your screen if you have not already. We're going to go ahead and jump into Real Talk. This is a segment where we talk about everything that's movie related. This could be the saga films, the standalone movies, that 2008 Clone Wars movie that comes out, which actually I watched last week. I don't hate it as much as I used to. Still not my favorite thing, but I like it. But Real Talk, we're going to jump right in to Entertainment Weekly, dropping a few...
Fire him?
You can't fire me over me liking that movie. I mean, liking it more.
I like it too.
Guys, come on.
Nick, back me up. Oh, Canada.
Nick's not here. Entertainment Weekly dropped several articles. The first off included images regarding Episode 8. We get a new look at Rey. We get a new look at Luke. We also get to see Poe in a cockpit. We get to see Finn in a cockpit, which is a little bizarre. A look at Leia, and we get porgs. Everybody loves those porgs.
I'm excited for the porgs.
Let's start with those first two cover images, Rey and Luke. Jesse, you see these images. You see that Luke Skywalker is staring right, basically into your soul. The dark, looks leathery hood over his head. You know, what do you think about seeing him and, of course, Rey looking like a badass in her new getup with that Skywalker saber in her hand?
Just, you can tell that Luke's been, isolated for a while. He's just, the body language for that is there. And just something like he's kind of feel like he's maybe gone deeper into the Force, which is a possibility. I mean, what else has he been doing? It's like he kind of ran away from everything else. He hasn't had much else,
Definitely a guy that looks like he's been battling maybe some inner demons. Maybe he's faced failure. David, you've seen these images. What do you think, especially if you're girl Rey?
I'm really excited for the Rey cover because I want to see her do more badass stuff. We really get to see her kind of take off in the last movie where she fights Kylo Ren, and I really want to know more about how she knows how to fight with a lightsaber. And then I see this picture, and it's a really badass looking picture where she's kind of like going back. I mean, I can't do it very well, but it looks like it's a very dangerous way to hold your lightsaber, and I feel like Luke needs to be there to tell her, no, it's not a toy. But she does look like she's staring into my soul.
He's one to talk because he looks straight down into the barrel of it. I don't know, hope so.
I wonder what this thing does. You flip that switch, that saga goes completely different direction. Oh my gosh.
Oops.
Well, one of the other images aren't all that exciting to me. I mean, I know, David, you wanted to bring up the porgs.
I love the porgs.
What is
Chewie
getting
and
you
the
so
porgs.
excited?
They're
I think Chewie
adorable.
eats the porgs.
I don't want to see that. They're just like do you ever go to the zoo and you go visit like the penguins or the puffins and they're just adorable and they're
Right.
cute and you just like really want to pick them up and take them home with you? That's how I feel like the porgs are. Like the porgs would be like hanging around outside chilling with the penguins and the puffins and look at those eyes. Do you get it pulled up? Look at those eyes.
I see
How
it.
adorable.
And
I want two.
I don't want porgs to be a central thing at all. Like, I hope they're just
I do.
maybe on the bottom. Maybe they're just chilling on the surface.
Give me more. I want two because that way, if I'm not home, it doesn't get lonely by himself. They can keep each other company.
Well, you know what?
I
If
have
the
a theory on this.
you do,
I do.
what's the theory?
Well, I mean, Rey and Chewie left when Octu. Rey's doing all this training. What's Chewie been doing? He's got nothing to do. His best friend's dead, so he adopts a porg.
Oh.
Well,
in
now
this picture here, it's just like, I mean, it's clear that he's trained this porg to fly the Falcon now.
oh god.
But no, it's just like, it's one of those things where like it's actually kind of is this an actual animal or is this a sentient animal? Like, is it actually intelligent?
I
Or is it
don't
something
know.
that's
And you
yet
know
to be
what, though?
revealed?
You have this thing, and we're going to get to it a little bit. The Guardians, those things piss me off, too. But first, though, we're going to jump to the next. This is like the big reveal. This is what everyone's talking about right now. And in this article, you have Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker himself. He's kind of reflecting on Luke Skywalker and the journey that he's gone through. And he said he feels failure because his nephew, who he believed was the chosen one, fell to the dark side. What? I cannot even begin to fathom the fact that we're actually going this route where once again we're reconsidering who is the chosen one. Qui-Gon thought it was Anakin. Well, okay, maybe that didn't turn out for the best. Obi-Wan thinks Luke is the chosen one. Okay, now Luke thinks it's his nephew. Basically, it's just the next... Whoever can whip out a lightsaber at this point has a chance to be the chosen one. Jesse, do you like this concept that this is going to be now a central theme in this sequel trilogy era?
Well, I mean, this could be a ploy to kind of throw fans for a loop, which is what I'm kind of hoping for, because we've already kind of gone through the whole chosen one thing with the prequels, and then it really wasn't mentioned in, the original.
It was the
directly.
concept of the
It was
chosen
kinda-
one was never mentioned in the originals.
Yeah, it was kind of like
Implied.
implied after the prequels and everything, but I definitely kind of done with that. I would kind of want this to be its own thing.
I get that. I'm right there with you.
Part of me, I'm still thinking Luke's the chosen one.
I would love that. And I'm going to be honest, growing up, I always thought Luke was, especially after you watch the prequels, because, well, Luke has to bring Vader back. So maybe Anakin is an ingredient. I don't know. Is the Skywalker family the chosen one? Is it all just... I don't know. I do think what they're trying to do with this trilogy is go more into the lore. Like, they're really going to try and expand that. And that's something that we got with the Clone Wars, right? We got to expand the lore, really go in. I think that's what we're going to get here. But I'm very hesitant. David, what do you think about this?
I don't need this to be a central theme of this new trilogy. We've had that for the prequels. It's old news to me. Why are we trying to rehash even more of the old stuff?
And I don't want anyone... I feel bad. I feel bad when fans get out there and they use the term rehash, because I think they have like legitimate points. I think you have a very legitimate point saying this is another rehash. It's kind of what Jesse and I were alluding to just moments ago. But it's not even constant beats. Like, when Lucas talked about when he was constructing the prequels, right? He said the Star Wars saga is kind of like a poem, and it's going to not repeat itself, but it's going to mimic throughout, in the stanzas, right? This is just like blatant copy and paste almost. Mm-hmm. And I want fans to like voice their opinions, and I don't want people getting attacked. I was watching on social media the other day, and this guy was just like ripping up this dude on Twitter, and I was like, everyone gets their opinions. If you like it, you get to voice it. If you don't like it, you get to voice it.
I'm not saying that I hate it.
Yeah.
But is it something, do I want to see word for word, or, story arc,
Yeah.
like a complete copy kind of thing?
I would love for this to be a thing where Luke had to go bring Anakin back, and now someone's got to bring Luke back to bring the balance. And I'm okay if this is a thing where, to bring balance, you have to have a more inclusive view of how the Force operates. Because as we're kind of seeing, I think, with Force Awakens and what we saw in the Clone Wars is, no longer are the Jedi this pure sect. Like they had their faults too. And so maybe, Luke has to have an understanding of the dark side, and by mastering both elements, the light and the dark, then he can bring balance. And maybe this fall with Kylo involved and now Rey getting involved, maybe that's part of the equation. And that, I think if done correctly, I can buy into as a fan, because I like Luke being the central focus. I like that a lot. So we'll see. The next thing that we learn about in this Entertainment Weekly, I don't want to call them leaks, but, spoilers, I guess, is the fact that we get a look at Snoke from behind and the new Praetorian Guards. And we've been talking about the Praetorian Guards for quite a bit on this podcast because David was a fan. When those first images originally leaked, he got very excited about it. Fair enough. Jesse, you kind of liked the look early on, but you and I were both kind of hesitant. You get a better look at these guys. It looks like they're in a hangar bay, maybe on a destroyer. What do you think? To me, they look like chess pieces. Jesse?
Just from a...
You don't sound happy about it.
From a costuming standpoint...
Very unhappy about it.
It's too much red, like coloration-wise.
Okay.
I think the armor probably would have looked better with maybe some black accents
in
there. We were kind of talking before the cast, how we liked how with the original Royal Guards with the helmets.
It was chic. It was simple.
Yeah, like
and very intimidating.
Okay with the idea of them being more armored, but I kind of expected for them not really look like a red blob either.
Yeah, and I like maybe how they're all different. Okay, so now they may have different purposes.
I don't like that, though, because then they're not a uniformed group. Then you've just got, like, a bunch of people standing around in different same-colored armor that all looks different.
They look like they have the same weapons that the Knights of Ren had in that Force flashback. Like, I'm seeing some similarities there, and that's just me making an observation.
In this particular picture, though, what I'm noting between the two guards is that the helmets are different.
Right.
I don't know if it's just the angle of it, but I'm really getting the back of the helmets don't look the same, so I think that it could just be a helmet that's throwing it off for me, because I feel like that's the first thing that a fan sees when it comes to the armored characters is they see the helmet.
Yeah, I'll roll with that. It's one of those things where I want to see these guys in action, but I think I really do side with David on this in the sense that I think what I miss is the uniformity of it all. Those red guards, even in the prequels when they were blue, right? Still very intimidating. There was really no emotion with them. You didn't know what was under those helmets. And of course, if you read it, EU had a lot of information on those guys.
Yeah. I'm fine. I like the fact that we actually get to see their armor, because when you see them in Return of the Jedi, they've got those red robes on, and so you wouldn't expect them to fight like that. That's just more ceremonial to me.
Yeah.
But this just, it looks like 3D printed crap, and
it kind of reminds me, when you watch Harry Potter and there's that they're telling the tale in the 7th movie. And it's like of the three brothers, right?
Like the storybook type.
Yeah, the storybook type, and like the art of that I'm reminded of that with this armor, which I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but that's just how my brain works. If you like or dislike the designs of the Praetorian Guards, and of course, if you're watching on YouTube, you're seeing those images just a couple of seconds ago. But you can comment directly below now, or if you're listening on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher, be sure to come on over to either Twitter and Facebook and comment below and let us know what you think about these guards, because these are characters that we've been following pretty intently. Like I said when we began this topic, it was the fact that it's something new, it's something different, we like it. Maybe not so much now with this armor. Tell us below. The next thing I want to talk about, and we're just rolling right along here in real talk, porgs and caretakers. So we knew about the porgs for a couple weeks now, right? And they're all over the internet. We now have another species that were being shown as the caretakers. And these are beings that kind of supervise things on Achtu. That's the new pronunciation that we're hearing lately, is Achtu, which I would have preferred Octu.
I like Octu. It just sounds better.
Well, we don't create canon, so we just have to kind of roll with it.
Sounds like a sneeze.
Oh my god, I actually almost had a sneeze there. That was terrifying.
It sounds like a joke from like a Mel Brooks movie, like a Robin Hood Men in Tights, a chew and a sneeze.
Well, I kind of feel like these caretakers are a joke, because if you look at them, they look like tortoises. Well, David, what do you think?
They kind of remind me of E.T., so I wonder if there's like a little nod to Spielberg in there, but I like the notion that there's some sort of creature out there that's been taking care of this Jedi ruin, and it's comforting to me to know that Luke just hasn't been sitting on a rock by himself for the last couple years. There's actually been somebody there for him to like talk to and make sure he bathes and stuff, and you know, I'm okay with the concept of it. Maybe the look is not the best, but I'll deal with it.
Like we talked about earlier with the porgs, I'm not sure the role these characters are going to play in the movie. I don't expect the porgs to be a big central plot point. I don't think they should be.
I think they should.
They should be in the background.
They should be right up front.
The caretakers, they might be more. They might have a role with Luke and his meditation. But Jesse, you take a look at these creatures. You know, we know that Chewie is bathing with the porgs. What are the caretakers really doing? Are they just assisting Luke, or are they just taking care of the island, you think?
First impression when I saw the picture is I thought of that Dinosaurs, sitcom from the 90s, which was a great show in its own way, and everything.
I was like on the tail end of that. But yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Overall, though, just looking at the costumes and everything, we know that there's kind of, the Guardians of the Will kind of thing. I think they still, existed in the background even throughout the original trilogy. I think that's what a lot of the books and everything are, have implied. That there's basically, you have the Jedi and the Sith, but then you have the religious, I don't want to say fanatic, but like almost like church-going people, monk kind of thing, like where maybe they were slightly, like these are the kids that were slightly force sensitive, but not good enough to get into the graduating class or something like that. But it raises a lot of questions because just we know that this planet was kind of hidden. There's so much like potential lore and fuel for future stories and everything. So I'm actually kind of okay with this. Their parents, I'm a little, but if they play a part and everything, I can do.
Very cool. Let's jump to the next topic, because I know that Jesse and I are really excited about this, and David too. Talking about DJ, Benicio del Toro's character, man, I cannot. The reveals in these articles are really satisfying for me, because it's not like they're giving away plot points. They're just giving us a few more samples here and there of stuff, and we get some more insight into Benicio del Toro's character of DJ, and not so much. I mean, he's a shifty character. We know that, and I remember before the Last Jedi talk really began, he was on that radio show that's quoted in the story about people asking if he's playing a villain, and he doesn't look at his character as a villain, which I like. And Jesse, 3 episodes, you were suggesting that the DJ is possibly going to play both sides. He could be a good guy, he could be a bad guy. But this guy's in charge of Canto Bight, and what Entertainment Weekly did give us as well was a look at Canto Bight. Jesse, what do you think about the information that we have here about DJ?
Well, just from what's there, I'm still sticking to my guns that he is a morally gray character. I think he probably leans more towards, good. Yeah. I mean, if you kind of think about it, Lando was kind of the same way too. Lando kind of did a dickhead thing in Empire Strikes Back, but he ended up playing a very pivotal part, in Return of the Jedi and everything, and kind of redeeming himself to some degree there. I don't expect the same thing out of DJ.
Boyega in the article says he is a bit of a code breaker, and the more you go through the art, you really do get a sense he's kind of like Lando.
It's that underworld thing. It appeals to me because bounty hunters, smugglers, I love that stuff. That's me. So, no, I definitely think he's morally gray, leaning towards more good, but I think he has the potential to do what it takes to kind of get ahead in his own game.
I can roll with that. David, let's talk about Canto Bight, because we get that image, And I was talking with John Burns on Twitter a couple days ago, and he's the guy who did that concept art of the TIE silencer that went viral at the very beginning. And he's a super cool guy, and I know he listens and watches the podcast, and always appreciate that. But he was talking about how it kind of reminds him of the original Ralph McQuarrie artwork for Cloud City. And I was like, yeah. Because I went out on Twitter, I was like, does anyone else see this? Like, it looks like Cloud City. He's like, yeah, it looks like that McQuarrie drawing. David, do you agree with me? Do you agree with John? Do you see the similarities? Do you like that?
I haven't seen the artwork that you're talking about, the concept art. But when I looked at this picture, Cloud City did just pop out in my head.
Yeah.
They've got platforms for the different speeders out there. Some of the architecture looks the same, which kind of excites me a little bit because here we're seeing some more parallels between this movie and Empire, which I think we can all kind of agree that's probably the best of the series so far.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're going to be taking more parallel things with a DJ being a Lando type character and Canto Bight being a Cloud City type location, I'm okay with that.
I can roll into it, and we talked about this before too, is we've never seen the wealthy in the Star Wars galaxy. And I always felt that in the original trilogy, if there was wealth, the wealth was there at Cloud City. Like, that seemed like a more utopian kind of environment, Cloud City. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know, because I see that more as like a mining facility where that's kind of where like the blue-collared people work.
Okay.
I know that's how I've always felt.
Well,
Cloud
no, you're
City
actually kind of right now that I think about it. I just, I don't know. It was the coolest. It was the most chic, you know, of all the environments we were at in the original trilogy.
I'm gonna tell you what I think of this image.
Oh God.
For one, I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just get that out. I love it.
Yeah.
But influence-wise, I actually don't really see a lot of Cloud City in this.
Really?
What I actually see more, if you look at especially like the curved part of this building,
Okay.
is Jabbas Palace.
Hmm.
The style of it, also just from my experience from like Star Wars: The Old Republic, it's got a very Hutta style feel, like
all right.
the buildings and everything. It's still kind of got like a. I can see the hints of it there, but that it's actually kind of seems grungier than
all
Cloud
right.
City. Cloud City was kind of very, very clean and pristine.
Yeah, this place is dirty looking on the outside, but
So-
inside we've seen that shot before because we got the behind the scenes footage and it looks classy
it's
in
one
there.
of those things where I'm kind of I'm more curious on like what's on the inside, but the outside of this kind of reminds me more of Jabba's palace.
Okay, I can totally roll with that. I do want to. There's a quote that was in that story that I did want to pull out. Tran, who plays Rose in Episode 8, she had a quote about the performance saying, when she was on set with the character, she felt like there was a tiger in the room and always had to be watching, like an animal. At any moment, he could do something, and I didn't know what. So that's really cool because I think as an actor and as the character, it seems like there's like uneasiness around this character. I think DJ's going to be like a really pivotal player, and it's going to be fun to see what happens.
You know, all this is doing is also throwing fuel on my theory that he's Boba.
I don't agree.
Who's Boba?
That DJ is actually Boba Fett.
More power to you, man. If it helps you sleep, I don't even want to get into that. We're going to go to the next topic because Saint Ron Howard is going to be canonized soon because of what this man does on his social media game. It is a topic in Real Talk every week since he took over as director of the standalone Han Solo film. This man is posting photos and videos. The latest post that he had was the wreckage scene where speeders go to die is the caption on the video. And I just love the constant behind the scenes we're getting. There's also another video where he's talking about they're practicing a crane shot. And it's this massive set, tons of practical effects. Now, of course, you're seeing like it's wrapped around green screen, like on the outskirts. But there is a ton of set, and it looks like they're trying to do a speeder sequence. And it might have been, this might be connected to those leaks of those speeder images we got 5 weeks ago. You know, David, you see these videos, and I know that you're a video guy. That's how you ingest information. You don't like to read articles or other information that I post on show notes. So when you watch these videos, I mean, does this excite you? I mean, I'm just giddy, man.
Yeah, like I want them to blow shit up. Like let's watch things get exploded and things crash into each other.
It's like it's great.
I dig it. I'm down.
Jesse?
You know, like, this is going to sound really crazy. If you were to just mute young Anakin, I enjoyed the pod racer sequence of Phantom. So if we're going to get some sort of, like, crazy, like, speeder bike race, I am totally down for that. Because I love the speeder bikes in Return of the Jedi, that struggle, you know, in the woods and everything, the danger there.
Oh my gosh, that speeder bike chase in Return of the Jedi was, like, one of the best moments.
Like, when I saw this, like, I'm sitting here just thinking about speeder bike wreckage.
What if we got another pod race?
I'd be okay with that because, I mean, it's, you know, like, it's an underworld kind of sport, and, you know, and not necessarily, but I mean, I guess, but...
I don't know if this is canon anymore, but there was an EU story in between A New Hope and Empire where Han was, like, betting on the races, and he had his own, like, pod racing, he had his own racer, and he raced, and,
there's a whole bunch of, like, expanded universe lore about, you know, all the various types of racing. I mean, Dengar, that's how Dengar
right, but specifically Han's involvement, and how cool would it be to see, okay, so, wait, Han can do this? I thought humans couldn't do this. Oh, well, he's not technically human. Okay, fine, yeah, give me a 12-minute sequence. The only thing that people don't like about the pod racing is they feel it went 3 minutes too long.
Yeah.
That's the only problem. No one has a problem with young Anakin. I mean, if that's your problem, that's fine and I respect it. But that's really no one else's problem. Everyone's problem is it just went too long. Yeah. But it was Lucas's ego, and I don't blame him. The man had advanced CGI so much, he's like, this is how I'm going to show you that I've created this technology and how I'm going to push it. And I think that thing could have gone 25 minutes. I wouldn't care. I would have watched the whole thing. I love the pod race thing. I love to see it back.
I love the pod racing. I just, you know, I don't know. Some of the scenes with Anakin in there, it just...
Fine, Jesse, fine.
Yeah.
But if you like pod racing, or if you more importantly like St. Ron Howard's social media game, how about you comment below, tell us what you like, or if you don't like it, tell us why you don't like it. You have to try not to like this. I think it's fantastic. That's going to do it for Real Talk. That was a lot of. I mean, we covered a lot of content in a short amount of time. That was really great. If you have any questions or concerns or comments or just any opinions on anything we talked about, again, make sure you comment below. Let's jump into Pages, Pixels, and Pieces real quick. Not a whole lot going on in recent memory, but we want to touch on a couple of things. I guess the first thing would be the Cassian K2SO one-shot that came out last week. And this is, of course, the comic that kind of explains how these two characters come together to meet and how that relationship develops. And I don't want to give too much away. I've been able to read it. Jesse, David, have you had a chance, or do you have a premise of what happens, what goes down?
I know the gist of it, but I haven't read it yet.
Okay, so let's just keep it really generic. I like the storytelling as far as the writing. I like visually. I think the art is really satisfying. I think this is the best way they could have done this. In the one-shot format, I think that was for the best. What I don't like is they go on this mission, and it's this whole thing where Cassian is probably just going to get killed by K2SO, and ultimately Cassian has to change his settings so he doesn't kill him. And it's just like the biggest cop-out ever, because it's just a flip of a switch. And, I know that we've seen droids have on and off switches, but I just feel like if this is like an Imperial droid that's supposed to be just like this killer, it shouldn't be that easy to deactivate it and then reprogram it. Like, that just seems like it just seems rushed.
Like firewall in there or something.
Well, yeah, you should have to knock it out and get in there and literally solder some crap to make sure. I don't know how machines work. You're the prop maker. I'm not. That's just how I feel. I feel like you had 44.
Restraining bolt, and I mean, he's down and out for the count.
Right, but you had 44 pages, and I feel like they could have done something a little bit better than this. It kind of just felt like we're giving you great story. Okay, we have 3 pages left. Let's get it done. That's just my thoughts. Coming out this coming week, I'm kind of excited about this. Star Wars 34, Poe Dameron 18. Poe Dameron, I mean, it's the same thing. Resistance and the First Order going at it head-to-head in Poe Dameron 18. We've kind of gotten off that series, at least I have, just because I was on there for the annual, and I was getting on there for the start of that arc, where they were trying to get that Tabana gas. And then Star Wars 34 is continuing that Star Wars main line. I'm having some real issues right now with the Star Wars line. Not all of them, just specifically that main storyline. I feel like consistency is an issue with that storytelling. Those first, I want to say 20 issues was really enjoyable, especially in like that 12 to 15 era where you were getting like excerpts from Kenobi's journal. And we've gotten tastes of that later on. But it's just so up and down. And I think Streaming Citadel kind of made me sour. Because like we've said, it's like an Elseworlds. You know, these were the... Streaming Citadel was one of those things where it's like...
Was that Dr. Aphra or was that the main line?
Yeah, that was the cross line.
Yeah, okay.
That crossed them all. Right.
Okay.
So like my thing is like, why don't we like the EU? Because there were stories like Screaming Citadel that junked up the canon, right? So I'm just having a kind of a hard time with the comics right now. I think I'm going to transition more over to back to the novels because I'm just about to finish Thrawn. Thrawn's been a long read, a good read, but a long read. But I think right now, comics where it's at is Charles Soule's Darth Vader. Last week we talked about issue number 4. Really satisfying. Really excited to see what happens in number 5. He brings the saber back to Palpatine. I think we're going to get to see that bleeding of the crystal process. And this is something that's been very interesting to us since this, crystal thing changed where, it's got that connection to the Jedi.
Do we know how many are supposed to be in that series?
That's going to be ongoing. We don't know the end of that yet. So like when we had the 2015 run with Killian, we just didn't know how long that was going to go. We ended up getting 25 solid issues in that series. Before we jump to the next segment, Jesse, you are reading Battlefront 2, Inferno Squad. Mm-hmm. And when I asked you about how you felt about this book, you were excited. How are you enjoying that story?
I'm actually enjoying it quite a bit.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to snag the audiobook, and I think I may still at some point.
I think that's how I'm going to do it because I've heard that Janina Gavankar just crushes it.
Yeah, but just overall, reading it and everything, it's a very interesting backstory for this group of characters that we're probably going to see.
Now, is this setting up Inferno Squad?
Yes, this is like their history kind of thing, like leading up to what we're gonna see and experience in Battlefront 2, the game coming out
right
this fall. But just
I don't want you to give things away, but like, can you? Okay, if I ask you questions, will you confirm them?
Sure.
Okay, cool. Do we get background with our lead character and her father?
Yes.
Do we learn how she gets thrust into leadership with the First Order? Trick question, because it's the Empire.
I don't know. Yeah.
Dang nabbit. The thing about I
haven't finished it, so that might be later in the book.
Iden Versio to me is such an attractive character, and not physically. It's just like it's a really appealing character. Learning about someone who's like grown up in that Imperial mentality. We learn that she's on an Imperial planet. She's grown up in that like propaganda infused culture.
The book does a really interesting way of humanizing Imperial soldiers,
which is what we were hoping for from the beginning.
Because there's actually deleted scenes from like some of the original trilogy where you actually kind of see some of that from, like I think it's with Return of the Jedi when they fire at the capital ships and everything, and I guess it's potentially wiping out other Star Destroyers too. So there's like a human emotion there, like wow, that's kind of crossing a line kind of thing.
I love you saying that because that reminds me immediately of Lost Stars. What I thought was so good about that book was the fact that you got to go through the original trilogy, but you got to see it from that third party perspective.
But overall, from what I've read of it, 10 out of 10.
Awesome.
So I'm definitely looking forward to finishing it.
I get my copy tomorrow, and I'm so excited. I'm so behind on this, but I'm excited to catch up with you. It's going to be a fun time. Are you going to borrow the book? You're going to do audiobook.
No, I can't do audiobooks. They put me to sleep.
Okay, then I guess we're reading the book together.
Even you two talking about the book in audio format's kind of putting me to sleep.
Well,
but I'll borrow the book.
Okay, great. Well, you need to get excited because we're going to go to our next segment. Jesus, this guy's the life of the party right now. Stashed or Blasted. We have two topics that I'm really excited to talk about. The first is Disney wants to pull out of Netflix. This is going back and forth the last 3 days. First, it's Netflix. Disney's going to pull off Marvel and they're going to pull off the Star Wars films as well, and they're going to start their own streaming. And this is slated to happen in 2019. And now we're getting reports that possibly they'll leave the Star Wars movies and the Marvel movies on Netflix. No confirmation what will ultimately happen. But, Jesse, you're a streamer, and you ingest a lot of your content via stream and Netflix. What do you think about the idea of Disney pulling Star Wars off of Netflix? Could that be a bad move?
From a consumer point of view, it's frustrating because it's going to go to some sort of subscription-based deal. So if I want to, say, watch... Because, they haven't put Rebels on Netflix. Okay, really the only Disney Star Wars-related film that's on there is Rogue One at this time.
Mm-hmm.
The Clone Wars, it was...
Cartoon Network.
Was Cartoon Network, pre-Disney acquisition. So I don't think they're going to take the Clone Wars cartoon off because I don't think they can.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be really upset because I like to sit there and binge watch that over and over again. But that's besides the point.
Yeah.
Just overall, there's also the various the Marvel originals, Daredevil. That's a whole nother.
I don't think they would touch those because those are Netflix exclusives.
Netflix came out and said they're not touching those.
Okay.
They're keeping that's great then because I didn't know. I was like, really,
especially with the Defenders coming out, right?
Yeah, I was just like, please don't take my favorite shows off here. Netflix is already kind of sucking anyway in terms of getting quality films and shows on there, but I can understand the move, but it's just one of those things where, as a consumer, it's irritating.
Well, Disney wants to make money, and I don't think it's going to be a cheap subscription service either. I don't think it's going to be like a $9.99 or I'm thinking this is going to be somewhere between $15 and $20. I'm not joking.
And I can't justify that because it's just, what are we going to get? Okay, access to probably the movies, maybe Rebels.
I would say exclusive content. And I think what could happen here is if you have a Disney streaming service, that's where we're going to get the series that we've all been asked for. That's where we're getting the Knights of the Old Republic series. They're going to have it on their thing, and that's when it's going to get fans to go.
They put it on there, shut up and take my money.
And that's why they're going to do it. And they're going to make you pay for it because they know they're going to make you pay for it. I can remember having a conversation with David when I had just moved out here, and I was talking about getting cable. He's like, no, you shouldn't do that. You should do Netflix. It's way cheaper, and all the stuff that you like is on there. And if you want, you can borrow my Hulu account, and we can split the... And if you do the Hulu and the Netflix, that bundle is still cheaper than doing cable. But if you're going to ask me to do Hulu, you're going to have me do Netflix. I like HBO, love The Sopranos. Okay, so we'll throw HBO on there. You throw a fourth service, ESPN's going to have its own streaming soon. So now there's 5 different streaming services that I could possibly want. I might as well go back to doing cable. Right, David?
Don't get me started on going back. I'm kind of irritated with cable.
I'm not going back to cable.
Right
nope.
So what are you doing? What do you think?
Well, first of all, this isn't happening until 2019, so there's still a lot of time for them to figure out what they're going to do.
Han Solo's not happening until 2018, but we talk about that every 3 days.
Yeah, but as Jesse pointed out, they really only have a couple things on there with the Clone Wars and Rogue One, and I of course have all the Star Wars movies, most of the Marvel movies on DVD, but I don't have a DVD player. Mm-hmm. I watch them on my PlayStation 2 because I'm just old, and
it's the fat one.
When I'm sitting there on my couch, having to get up and walk to my DVD player to grab my DVD and put it in and turn it on and switch out the cables, I'm getting... I can see where my mother comes from sometimes, and she's like, I don't want to deal with this shit. But it's like, the streaming service is just so easy to deal with. But we only have some limited content.
You sound so incredibly lazy. If you already own the content, there's no point of you buying the subscription service if you already have it.
He's not the only one.
Yeah.
I love the Battlestar Galactica series, and it was on Netflix, and they took it off there. I own it on Blu-ray. The way my setup is I can just literally let's reach over and change the disc, but I am that lazy. I just want to sit there and let it go.
If Disney can give me a streaming service that has all of their stuff on it, all of the Marvel, all of the Disney movies, all of the Star Wars movies, all of their other, and have it all in one place, I'll pay for it.
I will pay for it if we get that new exclusive content, and it's that Knights of the Old Republic, or whatever Star Wars live-action series it is. I still don't think we're going to see that for a couple of years. I think it's going to have to be... I think a live-action series, no matter where it's at, is going to be after Episode 9.
I don't know. I see that. I see them coming up with new stuff sooner rather than later. Like, I could see them having something release with this bundle package Because right now you've got DC Comics who are gearing up for their own streaming service, and they're having the Titans TV show that they're casting right now. And I think Disney's going to play it safe like they always do, and they're going to watch and see how DC screws it up, and then they're going to fix it when they do their release in 2019.
I'm just really annoyed, too, because I just assumed because Disney owns everything anyway. I mean, they don't actually own everything, but because of how big of a player they already are, I'm surprised they just didn't buy Netflix. Mm-hmm. Like, why not just buy Netflix? I thought that would have been, like, the power move. I mean, that's just me. I look at, so I work in broadcast television, and I work at a CBS station, and CBS has its online streaming service. It is not going as well as expected or as anticipated, but they haven't rolled out that Star Trek series that's supposed to drop soon. Mm-hmm. And they're banking on those fans legitimizing their streaming service. That one show, of all the programming they're making available, that one show. And I guess I'm just going to assume that Disney's kind of going with that one mentality. If they can migrate all of their content there, and then they can bring on that one series, I guess financially it's worth it. Because if you charge $15 to $20 per subscription, and you're thinking you can get a couple million people to sign up, I mean, that money, I guess it makes it all worthwhile. I don't know. We'll see. Like you said, we have a couple years. It's kind of concerning to me because... well, I just don't want to spend a whole lot of money on 5 different subscriptions. Anyways, let's talk about what?
But even when we used to bitch and moan about cable, our request was always, well, let me pay for the things that I want, and not the things that I don't want. So I don't need ESPN, so I don't need to buy the ESPN service. So all in all, I think it'll still be cheaper than cable, and this is kind of them giving us what we've been asking for anyway, is... let me have the content I want and not pay for the content that's crap.
And I get that because it's more specified than Netflix. Because Netflix, you're getting a bunch of stuff that I'll never watch.
I'm really technical about a lot of different concerns I have about streaming in the future. I mean, the streaming services in general are at a risk right now because the FCC is wanting to roll back some of the regulations from net neutrality. And if they do that, then your ISPs can actually charge you. So not only would you have a subscription, say, to this Disney streaming service, you might have to pay basically your ISP.
And that would just kill everything.
Yes. Yeah. So it's just one of those things where, yes, it's a little ways out. Nothing's been decided concerning net neutrality or anything. But, I mean, just across the board there, it's a whole different, can of worms, I guess, but...
I get you. You guys both raised a lot of awesome points. I think that was a great conversation, and if you have anything that you want to add, be sure you're commenting below what you think about online streaming. Are you excited at the idea that Disney's trying to be its own player in the streaming game and have its own service? Tell us whether you like it or don't in the comments below, or you can Facebook and tweet us. The second topic in this...
We haven't said if we're stashing or blasting.
Oh.
All we did was bitch about it.
It sounds like we're all blasting it.
I'm going to
carbon freeze it.
Wow. Okay.
And I'm going to stash it because I want to see what they're going to do with it.
Because, when you carbon freeze it, you're just kind of putting it aside for later, so...
I think I'm going to blast it because I wanted to see Disney buy Netflix, not do its own thing.
Can you carbon freeze meatloaf?
Possibly.
Do you think that would stay well?
I don't know.
I mean, if the ratings are good, right, then it's all fine.
Well, they found that fruitcake in Antarctica and it's almost edible.
Oh, I heard about that.
Okay, the next topic in the segment is Maz Kanata. We now know that she will have a smaller role in Episode 8. This was from the mouth of Ryan Johnson in an Entertainment Weekly quote in one of those many wonderful articles we got in the last week. Johnson is quoted by saying it's going to be a smaller role, which is kind of funny because she's a small thing. But he is happy he got the opportunity to work with Lupita Nyong'o, who's the actress who portrays... who does all the performance and motion stuff for Maz Kanata. But he was really happy about that opportunity. This isn't surprising to me. I don't know what kind of bigger role you were expecting her to play. I thought it would be minute.
He was not nice to Abrams in this article.
He was a little critical.
He went as far as to call Maz like a Yoda stand-in, and basically just kind of did what we do all the time, accuse Abrams of being a little fanboy. But he was not nice to Abrams on this one.
I actually enjoyed the character concept of Maz Kanata quite a bit. Kind of a artifact, scavenger,
kind of
thing.
Kind of sounds like you.
But
he doesn't want to admit it.
Well, this is the thing, is I feel like because she had a larger amount of screen time originally in The Force Awakens, and they changed it to what we saw, and really going forward with that on film, there's really not much room for it. What I would like to see concerning this character is maybe a short novel.
Okay.
Because I think she is a great character in her own right, and I would actually like to know, how did she get Luke's lightsaber?
I feel like that's a question they have to answer in the movies. They cannot.
If they can't answer it in the movie.
Don't give me that in the book. That's BS. That's one of those.
Would you not want it at all? I mean, at the very least, you'd have to get a short novel.
Anything that was insinuated in The Force Awakens. I mean, who is the girl? How the hell did they find the lightsaber? There's some element there with Finn. Just give me that stuff in the movies. And we've had that conversation before. There's those critical points that need to be addressed in the movies, because a lay fan should not be lost between 7, 8, and 9. The only thing I'm concerned about there, though, is that we've talked about it before, is that they don't have a from point A to point B with this trilogy. That they're kind of playing it as they go.
This is a reoccurring thing, because we know that you look at Rogue One, they had a massive reshoot of the last, 30 minutes of the movie?
Yeah.
Where originally we saw Jyn Erso running across the beach with the plans in hand, and she never set foot on the beach with the plans. It's one of those things where I kind of feel, quit changing it so much.
So wait, so how does this bring this back to Mascanata? So how is that relating to that?
Well, with Force Awakens, she had more screen time, and they changed it. I kind of feel like they took away a little bit of the story from
Well, wasn't that because JJ didn't like a lot of the performance that he got from her?
Potentially, I guess, but
I also think if you have any more of Maz in that movie, it takes away from the movie.
And I can see that, but I'm just saying I would like to see more of Maz. If you're gonna you introduced her, don't just kind of leave me hanging, because she is an interesting character.
Yeah, I want her to explain how she got the lightsaber.
At the very least.
I don't know if I need her to have like a big plot role.
Okay.
But I would like to see them wrap up what they've already started with her.
Yeah, I can go with that.
That's really all I'm trying to say.
No, I totally agree with you. I just get irritated with the fact that there's things that were set up in Force Awakens that were such a big deal, and we might not get closure on them because each director is going to be able to go whatever direction they go. I mean, that's fine. There are some things that they did tease that I do want to know the answer of. I always wanted that lightsaber to come back. I can remember being 12 years old and hoping that lightsaber got recovered, and that was an element in the EU, and it's like I wanted to see that happen. I want them to deliver that.
I'm glad that it didn't happen the same way that it did in the.
Well, I agree with that.
EU story recovery of it was just terrible.
No, I totally agree with. Again, the EU, they killed Chewie with the moon. Let's go into our next segment, which is Cosplay Cantina. We have another new image of Rebecca Platzer. She is our August recipient of the BTBD. No, we're just going to say Beyond the Blast Doors Cosplayer of the Month contest. And she is she's so sweet. We're emailing back and forth. Still trying to finalize the time where we're going to do an interview, but we're going to have her on the show. And again, she got into cosplay through the 501st and Rebel Legion. She does her Leia characters, and she has the A New Hope Leia, and she also has the Return of the Jedi Leia, and the image that you're looking at is her surrounded by stormtroopers, and she's like on her knees, and she's got her hands behind her back, and it's this really cool scene that was done. I think this was from Star Wars Celebration this past year in Orlando, which is pretty cool. But she's saying at the main time, right now her main costumes are these two Leias, and I just love hearing, just reading and hearing her talk about why she does this, and that's the excitement that it gives other fans.
I'll be honest with you, I love her costumes that she has. Great work. But I think she could pull off a Jyn Erso.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
So I would love to see, Rebecca, I would love to see you do a Jyn Erso cosplay, because I think you could totally pull that off.
I would love to get... when we have her on the show, we're obviously going to ask why you pick Leia. I mean, obviously there's some resemblance there. Okay, Jen, I agree. She could also do Padme. She could do. I would love to see her tackle like Attack of the Clones Padme.
Yeah, I mean, just in general, I mean, I think just that it sounded weird. Like she just has the physique to pull off those cosplays.
And if you
Just
look at
Leia, Padme.
If you look at their pictures too, and we've posted 2 photos at this point on our social media accounts. You can find that on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's not just the material. It's not just like the cosplay. There's like the portrayal. There's like that performance in those images.
It's a body language.
Yeah, and it's cool.
It happens like I didn't believe it at first. But I can definitely vouch when you put on your cosplay, you take on like a swagger.
Yeah, and what I'm excited to learn about from her is the fact that like cosplay is like a serious thing. And you talk about this all the time, Jesse. It's not just a thing where you're making props or you're throwing a costume on and you're pretending. I mean, it's this serious craft, and then it's just taken to that next level when you hear about all the generosity and the time that she's invested with the 501st and going to the hospitals. This week, right now, she's on a tour right now. She's visiting hospitals and going to a con. That's awesome.
Well, I'd like to know, with the 501st, if you're a member of the 501st, those are strictly canonical characters.
Yep.
Those costumes have to be 100% screen accurate.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things where...
That's impressive. Though.
Yeah, you don't get in if you're wrong. So I mean, it's just a testament to the work that she's put into into those costumes and everything. But the thing is anybody like that's doing this, just think of it. It's what they do on the film sets, really. It's really no different. It is an art form.
It's super cool.
It really is.
And I just really appreciate how sweet she's been, trying to make, we're making a finalizing time where we're going to do the interview. And Rebecca, you're awesome. I can't wait to have you on the show. And I want you, if you're watching this podcast or listening to this podcast, go check her out right now at BEK Ahsoka, AHSOKA on Instagram. Her account is there, and she's got a lot of photos there, and not just photos of her in cosplay, but her interacting with friends. Really cool, and also just, I love her excitement. She's our first cosplayer of the month, and I don't think there's a better one. I think she's a pretty great way to start this whole thing off. So thank you again, Rebecca. Thanks for checking out her account and supporting her. Let's go ahead and tap the Fan Comlink. It's that time of the show where we hear from you, the people out there listening and watching and giving us questions so that we can debate them. And this week's question comes from Robert Lamella. I'm hoping I'm saying that, Robert. Am I saying that right, Robert? Robert's going to tell me if I said it wrong or right because he hits us up on Twitter all the time. We're going to go with Lamella. Do you think we will get any info on what happened to Quinlan Vos after Order 66? Dark Disciple was a great story. Would hate for that to be the end of his tale. For those of you unfamiliar with Quinlan Vos, we have a very educated audience, so I'm sure you guys know.
I know this guy.
Yeah, you do know this guy because he was there in the Clone Wars. I'm so happy for you.
I'm almost on to season 3.
This guy has been binging the shit out of the series, and it's been awesome. Jedi, right? He was in a short scene in Phantom Menace, but he's really got notoriety. Went through the Clone Wars. He was in a couple episodes there, and he's also in the book Dark Disciple, which was a great book. Christy Golden, who's you can go ahead and read that one. Who's also writing another very popular book right now. Isn't that right, Jesse?
That's right.
That's right. Battlefront 2, Inferno Squad. And
she's written some World of Warcraft books, hasn't she?
Possibly. I
know that name.
I don't
I've
read
read
World of Warcraft books. Those are probably garbage. But I will tell you that book is fantastic. And basically, Quinlan Vos is this guy who he gets tempted by the dark side because he falls in love with Asajj Ventress, which is a unique storyline. But what we know is he's kind of a brash Jedi. He's not one to play by the rules. He's pretty aggressive, likes to use the lightsaber. Jesse, when you read this question for the first time, you hope not. Why do you not want to see any more of Quinlan Vos?
Well, yeah, I guess I'll admit I haven't read this book. I'm familiar with the story concept with it. To me, I feel like the book paints this character different.
Yeah.
I just didn't like the portrayal of the character in the Clone Wars cartoon. I had a very dude, where's my car? Kind of bro.
Yeah, that's what he is. He's kind of like the Aquaman we're gonna get in DC's movies.
I just don't feel like that was appropriate for a Jedi character.
So do you see him survive? Do you see him beyond Order 66? Do you want to see that?
If he's a different entity, than what was portrayed in the Clone Wars, I'm okay with it.
Okay, cool. David, I know you haven't read the book, but we've had conversations before of, do we like the idea of more and more Jedi surviving Order 66?
Nope.
And why is that?
I still like the notion that Anakin brought balance to the Force, meaning you have 2 Jedi, which are Yoda and Obi-Wan, and you've got your 2 Sith, your Darth Vader and your Emperor Palpatine. And I like that being the nice, clean way to bring balance 2 and 2. And so I can't say that I really enjoyed his character in season 3.
He kind of gets nitpicky with Obi-Wan.
Does he come back at all?
I won't tell you that or not.
Okay.
You gotta watch the series, buddy.
So far I don't like him. So thank you for your service. You died in service to the Republic, and good riddance.
The best part about that arc is that Zero the Hutt died.
I
freaking hate Zero.
Zero's a dude. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Zero's a dude.
A surviving Jedi.
Yeah.
I don't mind that they survived maybe the initial order and everything, and maybe survived a number of years afterwards. I mean, obviously, we wouldn't have Rebels without Kanan.
Right.
Things like that. So it's one of those things within reason. But it is kind of a tough area to look at because obviously Kanan Jarrus isn't in the original trilogy. Now, I thought it was very nice in Rogue One that there's that Easter egg. Chopper was there, the Phantom was
the Ghost,
the Ghost, and everything. But at some point, if you don't put those characters in the film, it doesn't mean anything to me because...
Right. And the whole point of it is Vader is supposed to be hunting down the last of the Jedi. Yeah. And we already know that Vader wasn't able to do it by himself because they had the Inquisitors, right?
The bounty hunters, the Inquisitors, looking for him and everything.
So is it... I wonder if it's going to be a thing where that Vader wasn't capable of hunting them all down, or he got assigned to a different task.
In the expanded universe, we had the original Starkiller... from the Force Unleashed games.
Right.
His original task as Darth Vader's apprentice was hunting down surviving Jedi Knights.
Which I think they're going to keep retcon because I think that's been replaced with the Inquisitors. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of similarities there in a way. I wish they would have kept Starkiller. I love that. I love the Force Unleashed games. They were great.
They really were. So it's just one of those things where it's a shady topic for me because I don't hate it. I don't disagree with it, but it's one of those things where it can get a little too complicated if you keep adding these surviving Jedi in.
I just think in what I've seen of him so far that he's obnoxious.
Yeah, and if he's a completely different personality and not that surfer mentality.
What'd you call him earlier? Like a Keanu Reeves type?
Like dude, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure kind of thing.
Whoa, great movie, bro. George Carlin.
It is a great movie, but
respect.
You know what I mean? That personality with a Jedi just doesn't to me seem appropriate for a Jedi Knight.
Okay, well, Anakin was banging Padme in the shadows. Okay, that's not appropriate for a Jedi either.
Yeah, but we also don't like him.
He sounded intelligent while he did it.
Did he? I thought he kind of was whiny. I don't mind there being different personalities.
How do you know what his bedroom manners were? How do you know how intelligent he was when he was banging Padme? This is what I want to know.
I should never have mentioned that. I should never have brought that up. That was my mistake, and I'm sorry.
Now I'm blushing.
If you have any thoughts on whether or not Quinlan Vos has any life after Order 66, on what happened to him, what could happen to him, comment below. Let us know. Definitely want to revisit that. And also want to thank you for any of your involvement with the conversations we've had over the last couple of days on Twitter. We've gotten blown up. We were talking about the whole, Kylo possibly being the chosen one thing. A lot of opinions out there. Thank you so much for commenting there. We hope we responded to your tweets because we definitely appreciate you hitting us up. It's now that time of the show where we wrap it up. It's staying on target. Mr. Jesse Buck, what's got your targeting systems locked, my friend?
Getting my internet fixed. It's been a crazy ordeal. It's limited.
Comcast bashing incoming.
Yeah.
Brace for impact.
It's a good thing I don't have a disintegrator.
That's why I have Adam's fiber.
Other
Gigabit
than that,
speed.
Weather's been really nice lately.
Thank you, Nick Stewart.
Yeah, I got to fill in for. Last week I was kind of under the weather with allergies and just absolute frustration with the internet thing. But I did attempt my first leather grip wrap for
Saw that.
for a lightsaber.
When are we gonna make our lightsabers?
The weather has to be good, and he can't be sick.
Yeah,
I have like
yeah.
a bag of plumbing equipment sitting in my living room right now. and it's
Honestly, we just need a good Saturday afternoon.
You know what? We're gonna grill too. Gonna
Yeah,
grill.
Yeah, we'll get a grill.
pineapple
barbecue.
bratwursts.
Absolutely,
I
dollar
can't do
bratwursts.
pineapple, but-
David, what's got your targeting systems locked?
Well, I was gonna go into Walmart yesterday and buy myself a Lego set, and
You jerk off! You're supposed to do that with me.
well, you didn't pick up your phone. Anyways, I was in there for other reasons, and I was looking at them to see what I wanted.
Okay.
And I've got it narrowed down to either Krennic Shuttle or Yoda's Starfighter. But then when I went into Walmart, they're remodeling our Walmart. I don't know if you've seen it at all. It looks
I
awful.
avoid Walmart like the plague.
I typically do too, but I was in there for work.
It's a mess.
And
It's like a maze. A
I-
lot of grinding.
their toy section was misplaced.
You're not able to access it.
No, it's just
It's got, like,
empty.
orange fencing
It's
around it.
It's vacant now. They've moved it all into a different area.
Oh, really?
And I couldn't find it. So that's disappointing, but that's all right because by the time our viewers are watching this, I'll be in Alaska for 2 weeks. So
Hunting Wolverines.
hunting wolverines. Maybe you'll see an X-23 while I'm up there, which would be cool too.
If you see Nick, say hi.
I will, because we'll be popping into Canada for a little bit, and if he hasn't been deported back to the U.S. by then, maybe we'll try to pack him in my carry-on or something. But
Well, I wish you safe travels, and it's like we
Thank
get
you.
Jesse back, and we're going to lose Dave for 2 weeks. Hopefully we'll have Nick back next week. I guess for my thing on Target, last week I mentioned James Arnold Taylor's YouTube channel. He's starting that Clone Wars Conversations. An hour-long part 1 episode with Sam Witwer. It was phenomenal. Did you watch this?
I wanted to, but
You
I couldn't.
you have oh
'cause
I'm
you
so
don't have
sorry. I forgot
internet.
the whole internet thing. It is so good. Sam Witwer has not just this great talent of bringing characters
He's
to
a great
life.
personality just in general.
He knows a lot about Star Wars. I mean, like he knows a lot, and it's fun to hear him go into his knowledge, and then of course get that extra insight of him going in the studio with the Clone Wars crew. Part 2 just got uploaded to YouTube as well. That's another 44 minutes. So my targeting system's locked on that. I'm going to be driving down to St. Louis this weekend. Going to pop that on in the car ride down there. I'm really excited to hear how that conversation continues. If you haven't checked it out yet, definitely check out James Arnold Taylor's YouTube channel. He has like 3 or 4 different ongoing series, but this Clone Wars Conversations thing he just started up is a lot of fun, and I hit him up the other day and just was like, hey man, thanks for doing it, and he replied back saying thanks, and it's just so cool when he's invested in it and he's interactive. You'll have a lot of fun over there, so go ahead and check that out. And while you're checking other things out, because obviously you've enjoyed this podcast, be sure you check out our friends over there at 3Ys Media. You have 3Ys Radio, you have Movie Versus, our buddies over at Good Bad or Bad Bad. Just a lot of really great, I want to say local content, but local is kind of like a respective term. I don't know how it works out, but
local to us.
it's local to us. It's a lot
Can
of...
you actually call it content though? Because I mean, like we have some weird people around here.
What do you mean content? Of course it's content. This is content. This is a show. It's content.
This is good content.
It's content that's all made by fans for fans, and we're really glad to have you part of it. That's going to do it for episode 12. It was a blast. Guys, I'm not going to see you for 2 weeks. This is going to be so weird.
That's right. Next time you see me, I'll have one of the Beyond the Blast Doors T-shirts. Got it ordered, so it'll be coming my way.
Oh, man. Maybe we should drop the TeePublic link down below in the description so you
Okay.
guys can buy your shirts.
That way you can look as good as I will next episode that I'm on.
I'll let you determine for yourself if you agree with that statement or not. That's going to do it for us. May the Force be with you.